Every part of the plant is important, but I would almost say that leaves are the most important, primarily for what they do for us. Okay, they are in charge of photosynthesis, and that is really important because, well, lots of reasons, but one of them is because we eat them for salad, right? Or our food eats them, like cows, right? They eat hay or corn or whatever they eat, and then we eat them. But the most important part, even more than being the base of the food chain, is it's not only that, but also the creation of all the oxygen in our entire planet. Okay, until plants were invented, there was no oxygen in this planet. Okay, it was carbon dioxide, nitrogen, argon, whatever else. Okay, so thank you, algae, and the first phytoplankton that existed. Okay, those got us started with having oxygen in our atmosphere, and then as evolution took place, yeah, it's a thing. Okay, we had more and more complex plants, and they can do all kinds of neat things. So our main focus for leaves primarily sits with photosynthesis. Okay, they have a really neat job. They can just eat sunlight. Tasty. Love me some sunlight. Okay, so they take carbon dioxide in through a specialized part of their plant called a stomata. Okay, we have these neat things called a mouth and lungs. Okay, they're in charge of getting the oxygen into our bodies. And then we have little organelles inside our cells called mitochondria that take that oxygen and do something with it. Okay, they burn our sugar and turn that into carbon dioxide and water as a waste product. Hey, look at that. It's the same as this, but it just goes the other way. Okay, that's how come these little arrows from chemistry are not equal signs, because you can turn the arrow the other way. So these are our products on the right-hand side, okay, and then our reactants are the left-hand side. So in plants, during the day, when the sun is out, okay, they take carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, water that they sucked up through the roots, through osmosis and diffusion, sunlight energy, okay, that hits the top part of the leaf, not the bottom part. Okay, so they have specialized tissues on the top to absorb that sunlight, and this neat pigment called chlorophyll. What, Dr. Phil? No, chlorophyll. That is a green pigment. Okay, if you don't have any green pigment, you can't photosynthesize. Sorry. Okay, we need that. And that particular piece of the plant does absorb certain wavelengths of light. Okay, so we're talking visible light, infrared. Those are the main ones. Okay, mostly visible light from what I know. Then it cranks out some sugar and some oxygen. So we only have mitochondria to burn energy. Okay, plant cells actually have that too, because when it's nighttime, they can't make sunlight energy. They can't do photosynthesis, so they actually need to burn some of the energy they made during the day. Okay, and but they have a specialized organelle called a chloroplast. Okay, those are two different words. Chlorophyll, green pigment, chloroplast, the part of the cell that's in charge of photosynthesis. Okay, so we get to look into that in more detail in grade 10. I know we're so lucky. And I think Bio 20 really goes into detail. It's like this Krebs cycle and all kinds of stuff. Okay, then oxygen is actually a waste product. Okay, and again, that's going to go in and out of these little holes on the bottom of the leaf called a stomata. Okay, stomata. Tomato, not tomato. Stomato, no, not stomato. Stomata. S-T-O-M-A-T-A. I find if I can spell it, I can remember it better. Okay, so what's the job in photosynthesis? Collecting sunlight, yeah. Okay, so this green pigment is like color, right? So pigment. Okay, it absorbs light and makes them green. So what's going on is gas exchange. So this is if the leaf was upside down. Okay, so we don't need stomata, we don't need these air holes on the top. Okay, that top part of the leaf, its job is to do the photosynthesis. So they put the mouth on the bottom. Okay, and there's not just one, there's a whole bunch of little ones. So carbon dioxide goes in during the daytime for photosynthesis. Water vapor and oxygen goes out. Okay, this water vapor has a word. It's called transpiration. Okay, we have a word that we do that's similar. It's called perspiration. Perspiration. Okay, so that's like how we sweat, right? So when you get too hot, we have pores that release water too, okay, and it makes us sweaty, and that helps cool us off. Okay, with plants, that helps suck up water from the roots. Okay, something like a big fat leaf, okay, a broad leaves, okay, lose more water from transpiration. Okay, and thin leaves, like needles. Did you know a needle, like a pine tree needle, was a leaf? Fun fact, it is. Thin leaves, less transpiration. Okay, so less water loss. So somewhere like here, right, we have a lot more pine needle trees, we have a lot more spruce trees, okay, and there's a lot more of them. So there's a whole bunch of little wee leaves on all the branches, so that during our short growing season, where we have like, right, spring happens later and fall happens sooner. So we don't have time always for plants to grow a leaf and then lose the leaf, right? That takes too much energy for a plant. So all our conifers, the coniferous, remember this word? Coniferous trees, okay, those tend to have little thin needles. So as soon as the sun comes out, they can start photosynthesizing right away, okay, which we need for our short growing season. We still do have deciduous plants. That's the ones with the leaves that fall off, okay, the bigger ones. And but as you may have noticed, it takes like a week, 3 weeks, okay, for a plant to grow all those leaves, and that takes so much energy for the plant, okay, to make a big leaf, and a lot more water. Okay, so different adaptations for different climates, right? You're going to see much bigger leaves in places like the rainforest. Okay, especially in the shade plants, they need to be huge because they're trying to catch as much light as they can. Yeah, lots of adaptations. Okay, but main words here: transpiration, stomata. Okay, that didn't even put the word on here. Let's put that on there. Okay, stomata. Okay, are the holes on the underside of the leaf. Okay, so it's like a mouth, right? Okay, so here's the layers of a leaf. Okay, so if you were to rip a leaf in half and look at it from the side, okay, that's what we're doing. So we're looking at the skinny part. So if you look at the very thin part, there's actually quite a few different layers in there. Okay, we have an upper epidermis, that's like the skin, like you have skin, you have an epidermis. So if anybody ever says, your epidermis is showing, yeah, that's just your skin. Okay, then we have this mesophyll tissue. Okay, these little circles are all cells. The little dots in the circles are the nuclei of a cell. Okay, and then just like how you have veins, so take a minute to look, right? Look at your wrist, look at your back of your hands. Okay, those blue lines, those are your veins. Okay, plants have those too, but we usually call them xylem with an X and phloem. Okay, so xylem and phloem. Okay, I want you to try to think this rhyme. Xy high, flow low. Okay, and I'll explain why in a little bit. So then you have a bit more mesophyll, that's like spongy tissue. Then you have the lower epidermis, okay, so another skin layer on the bottom. And then you have guard cells, okay, which open and close the stomata. Okay, so what's going on here? You have top and bottom layers, is the epidermis. They secrete a waxy substance called a cuticle. Okay, so by your fingernails you have a cuticle, right? That's the bits of skin on the bottom. On plants, the cuticle is like that top layer. And cuticles are great for making sure the water doesn't stay on the leaf, because leaves don't absorb water. That's a root's job. Okay, so when you're watering a plant, Stop pouring water on the top of the plant. Okay, just put it down where the dirt is. Okay, make the dirt wet. Okay, you don't need to make the plant wet because the leaves aren't the ones that are in charge of absorbing water. Okay, and it protects the leaf. So you're thinking protects the leaf from what? Protects the leaf from fungus. Okay, fungi. And sometimes bugs. Sometimes bugs still eat them though, like caterpillars, they still eat the leaves. Okay, what's this? So the vein is the xylem and phloem. So on your leaf that you grabbed from somewhere, okay, you have a look at it and you see, oh look, there's the veins. Okay, there's the veins of the plant. That's called the xylem and phloem. What's the mesophyll for? That's where the photosynthesis takes place. Okay, so where is there more of it? At the top. Because what side is the sunny side of a leaf? The top. Okay. So these are pictures of a stomata. They're the little holes on the underside of the leaf. Okay, and the guard cells are these squishy things. Okay, on the outside, like when people make a duck face, you know, and they stick their lips out and they're like, "Oh, look how cool I am." That's the guard cells. Okay, so pore means hole, so these little holes are called stomata. Yeah, stomata. Okay, the air holes, mesophyll, the photosynthesis cells, vein is transport tissues. Okay, xylem is for water, phloem is for the nutrients, or the sugar. Okay, so the plant spent all that time and effort making sugar. It can't just stay in the leaf, it has to go everywhere. Okay, so your phloem tissues are going to take that to the rest of the plant. What else we got? Oh, hey, I talked about this already. Okay, so broadleaves can catch more sunlight, and you can make a lot of sugar if you have enough water, and if the leaf can actually reach the sunlight. So if you're in a crowded forest, a plant has a better chance of surviving if you're out in the open. Okay, so you have a nice big leaf, you're better able to catch more sunlight. Okay, disadvantages, usually tastier, okay, bugs eat you, but mostly it just takes more water to make them grow. And if it's fall, they have to all fall off, right? So you have to waste all that energy that you took growing the leaf in the first place and start all over again in the spring. Okay, so disadvantages of needles. Can't do quite as much photosynthesis because they're just little, but they can start photosynthesizing right away. So another fun fact that people don't realize is grass is a leaf. Okay, if you take a close look at grass, there's a little piece on the side, that's the stem, and then it's sort of like a feather. So have a look at a blade of grass next time you have time. And you see that a blade of grass is actually the leaf. Alright, so that's it for that chunk of about leaves. Trying to think of anything else I should say. I'll save it for the next video.